Florence, hello.
Hi.
Hi. I'm so happy to see you. I'm so happy you're back. We've got a lot to talk about. Okay, I want to start with the last time the general public has seen you, which was Glastonbury, 2015. What was it like to walk on, firstly, that stage?
Well, I think I was just really glad that I could walk because I'd broken my foot, but it had healed by then, and it was the craziest feeling. We'd been rehearsing, and I'd stopped sleeping, but I just wasn't sleeping at all. And then by the time that it came to do it, me and the band were like, suddenly everyone got really excited. But just before we all went on, there was this weird feeling of kind of like, okay, this is important. It was so out of body because when you get out there, like the people go on for as far as you can see, and it looks like this invading army, but this army of kind of hippies and flags, and I don't know, I've had to really give myself over to like whatever is in charge of performances for me. Like it isn't really me out there. Like I had to just be like, okay, you got this. I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. But kind of when I was out there, I felt this incredible connection with that crowd. I've never felt anything like it. Like it was, I guess because we were filling in at the last minute, and it was crazy because Dave Grohl had broken his leg and my foot had only just healed. So there was like a lot of broken hearts and broken bones that led to that gig. But there was just so much support from the people in that audience. And I don't know, Glastonbury is kind of bigger than you know, like it's bigger than your band, it's bigger than an individual. It is this entity in itself. And if you can just try not to like actively mess up people's nights, you know, people will be having their own experiences regardless of what you do, so you're kind of, you're there to kind of be a conduit. But I tried to just be part of the whole situation.
Did you watch it back?
It's hard because the way that it feels when you're out there and the view from the stage is like, there's been like some hallucinatory stuff that's happened in my life, as you can imagine, but this was the trippiest thing that like I ever did, you know? Like, when I came off, what would happen? Well, I was like, I'd taken my shirt off, so I was in a bra, and I cried, and I had to like, I guess usually people would have a drink or something to calm down, and I was pretty new in not drinking either, and I was doing Glastonbury, and I was like, we all had to get in like a band spoon, and I cried, and I was like shaking in a bra. I was like, I think I should have some vodka. They were like, no, I don't think that you should. You just did a really good job, and like you've come this far, and maybe not. I was like, okay, but it was really hard. But then how we came down is that me and Izza, we went and DJ'd in the park, in the park stage. So we did another headline show.
I was at that. I was dancing.
It was fun.
I love that.
And actually, like, I ended up having, and then walking around the whole night, and I think I was literally high on high fives because people seemed so kind to me after I remember going out, and I don't ever want to stay backstage. I've been going to Glastonbury for a long time, so I always want to get involved. And I just remember walking through and like talking to people, and this girl being like, "Oh my God, I need to go home and like change my life." And we were both covered in glitter, and it was such an incredible experience. I can't believe it happened. I never thought I would. It's one of those things, like, in my head, I had a little list when I was a teenager of gigs I would like to do, and one was headline Brixton Academy. I did that. And I think one of them was headline the Pyramid Stage. I thought that was the really far away one. You know, that was the one that was probably like might not even ever happen, but I was kind of okay with that. Yeah. And then it did, and I kind of can't believe it.
And that was nearly 3 years ago now.
Yes.
And now you're back with a new album, which is so exciting. Can you tell us, firstly, what the album is called?
The album is called High as Hope.
Okay. I want to ask so many questions about the album, but first of all, I think we should go back to Glastonbury and kind of move forwards from there. What was the period like into this new project?
I'd kind of already started writing songs towards the end of the American tour, and we were in New York, and there's this feeling when you've been touring an album for a year, you start to kind of crack a little bit, not even in a bad way. It's just, I guess I'm someone who's like, attachment to reality is tenuous at best. So when you're playing all the time, you kind of start to get so open, and I don't know, there was just like something about a couple of those days in the last tour in New York. Everything started to take on significance. You know, when you're in that mind state, those couple of days sort of crystallized in me, and I wrote some songs about it when I got home, and that was kind of the start of the... So the very end of How Big, How Blue, How Beautiful just caused the start of the next one. Which is interesting because I think I never really knew how to come down after a tour before, so I would just go on like a massive bender, and that would kind of flatten me, because you don't actually feel tired when a tour ends. You are so used to running on adrenaline that, and I wasn't doing that, so I just went straight back in the studio. Wow. It gave me quite a lot of creative freedom though, because no one was expecting me to start working again. My engineer was literally like, "What are you doing here? Shouldn't you have a holiday?" It's like, "No, I've been traveling so much already. Like, I want to be at home." And maybe it was because of the lack of expectation, or I knew I was doing it just for me. You know, it really felt like when I went back to make this one, it was like how I started making music. Just for fun, just because I enjoy making things, without any thought of what was going to happen to it or structure or what it needed to be. And the first thing that I made was June, which was the title track for this record, just kind of sitting there and feeling something out. And I had that same excitement, as when I made Dog Days, because it is the sound of someone just, I literally never have any idea what I'm going to do. And that song kind of opened up the rest of this record.
Wow, so you got into a rhythm of it then and kind of stayed in London and went to...
Yeah, I just demoed it in Peckham, which is around the corner from where I live, and South London where I grew up. So I sort of ride my bike to the studio. I can work in very condensed bursts. I'm not a studio hanger-out person. I have to work very fast, very intensely. Sounds like me. Whoa, she doesn't work in a relaxed, casual way. That's surprising. I had a very, very wonderful and patient engineer called Brett Shaw, who also did some additional production on the record, which I ended up co-producing with Emil Haney. It's not the most expensive studio. It doesn't have that much stuff. It's just, it kind of gave me the freedom to just really experiment with building what really is my sound, just me and an engineer. And I'm banging the walls and playing pretty bad piano, but I can get by. And so that's how a lot of the songs got started on this record. June, 100 Years, South London Forever, Patricia, they all kind of started in that space. And what is amazing about Emil is he doesn't want to mess with demos that much, and the sound of it was so fully formed by the time that I took them to him. He was like, "Oh, I don't really want, we don't need to change this at all." And I mean, obviously we got Kamasi Washington to do some incredible instrumentation, and Emil is really good with the orchestral beauty bits. Like, if anything's on there that sounds loud and out of time, it's probably me. And if there's anything that's beautiful strings and very elegant, that's usually Emil. I'm the one who's banging and crashing everything.
But great that you have given yourself that co-production credit, because as you said, it is your sound. It's kind of always been your sound, right?
Yeah, it's funny that I think when you're younger, you're like, "Oh, they're the producer," but I always sort of co-produced, but I didn't know you were allowed to ask for the title. I was like, "Oh, I'm the artist, they're the producer." But I think also when I probably needed a lot more guiding and steering, maybe not musically, but just because I was a nightmare, you know, like...
How were you a nightmare?
I just show up like hungover all the time, or not at all, or like on the wrong day crying. Like, where are you? I was like, I'm in the zoo. They're like, why? It's 11 in the morning. You're supposed to be in the studio. It's like, yeah, but I am at London Zoo. I'm not somewhere like nefarious. Like, I can take a picture with the camel. That happened with Paul Epworth. I had to make some apologies.
You had to send him a picture of you with a wombat
I was like,
in London Zoo.
I know I'm supposed to be in the studio, but I just ended up here. I was always in a place in my life where I was always chaotic. So the producer role was almost, I could do the music bit, but they would have to manage like me within that, you know, like, so I like turned up at James Ford's studio and like fell through a glass door and like
Florence is here.
Yeah, it was
Splash.
literally like, oh, it's like,
hi guys.
glass, and I think we might have to go to hospital like immediately.
I'm so interested in that though because now it seems like from what you've told me that it feels like you've written this new album in a place of quite relative calm.
I mean, on the last record, Marcus Drabs, he gave me structure. I was in such a vulnerable place in my life, and he, being the incredible person that he is, he was like, you are going to be here at 11, we are going to finish at 6. Like, at that point in my life, I needed structure and routine, and that record was like so painful to make. It saved my life, but every part of it was like it was being dragged out of me. And this one, I think because How Big, How Blue, How Beautiful was so healing and people were so kind, and touring that record almost brought me back to myself, and I kind of grew up within the making of that record. I kind of grew up somehow a bit, and it taught me a lot about myself. And so when I kind of came back to this one, I was in such a better place, and I'd found the joy again in making music, and I just found that the creativity was so much easier, and I never knew that. I thought that
there's a myth, isn't there? That
it is, and it's also a bit of a trap sometimes, because I totally just bought into that 100% when I was young, and especially, you know, growing up in South London in the bands I grew up with, I was like, oh, okay, so
hedonism equals
it is
creativity.
like this is creativity, and also I kind of made my own trap, because, you know, I would write a song like Cosmic Love on the worst hangover I've ever had, and I'd be like, well, it's because of this magical hangover. Like, they must be magical. I should have them all the time. Yeah. And so I think for me, a big thing was coming back and realising that actually the creativity was better, and it was whatever kind of channel there is, or whatever's like going on when you're making music, which often feels like something is working through you rather than you. It was so much clearer, and this album just kind of flowed out, and I really enjoyed it as well.
What a dream.
I never thought I would release it, and I was playing it to people, and I was like, yeah, but this one's probably not going to go on the record because, you know, it's too personal or it's too real. And people are like, are you sure?
1